The tension between the two cousins is palpable as they lock eyes, a serious atmosphere engulfing the scene. Ghislaine, his mind sharp, addresses Ricardo. What's the situation? He asks, and the soldier quickly responds. We responded to a report of disturbance at the tavern. That's where we found Kane with his escort knight. Recognizing us, Kane asked if the rumors about you were true, so Commander Scovin explained the details. Ricardo shifts uncomfortably as he recounts how Kane reacted violently, grabbing Scovin's jaw and nearly crushing it. He claimed you, someone who never trained, took down an orc and handled traitorous knights on your own. Kane, overhearing this, steps forward, a smirk playing on his lips. Hey, now, if you're going to tell him, at least tell him the truth. His tone is mocking as he continues. I just gave him a little wake-up call. He had to be reminded not to believe such ridiculous stories. Behind him, Commander Scovin's face is swollen and blooded from the wake-up call. As Kane towers over Ghislaine, their height difference apparent, Ghislaine remains calm but reflects internally. He's always been this way, Ghislaine thinks. Treating me like his subordinate, stirring up trouble whenever he visited Perdium, knowing no one would challenge him. Memories of the past flood Ghislaine's mind, Kane pulling him by the hair, drinking and carousing, all while no one dared to look down on Kane. Unlike me, Ghislaine muses bitterly, recalling his own inferiority complex. Kane was praised for his confidence and boldness. Meanwhile, I was always criticized. But this time was different, as Kane wonders why Ghislaine hasn't reacted with anger as he usually would. He notices something unusual. Look at him, he's not backing down. What's gotten into him? Kane thinks, confused by Ghislaine's new demeanor. Flashback to Loges County. Kane had been lounging in a chair, casually asking, kill Ghislaine, how? The shadowy figure in front of him had explained the plan. If Kane succeeded, the esteemed one will support the Loges family. Kane had agreed, seeing the opportunity to eliminate Ghislaine under the guise of a duel. It'll seem like a trivial dispute between heirs, the shadow had said, planting the seeds of the coming confrontation. Back in the tavern, Kane, now eager to provoke his cousin further, calls out to Ghislaine, hey, what are you doing, just standing there? Since you know I'm here, you better bring the thing you prepared for me. Ghislaine, unbothered by the request, plays along. Oh, that, you mean the booze and the girls? His tone is mocking, but in his mind, he's realizing the truth. It was Kane all along ... draining my money for his indulgence. No wonder the Lord cut off my funds. Kane, oblivious to Ghislaine's growing determination, demands, you better bring them right now. Can't you see I'm waiting? Ghislaine's expression hardens. Yeah, of course. He pauses, then adds with a cold edge, but don't you have a debt to repay me? Kane's expression changes, alarmed now. Debt? What debt? 1,000 gold. Principal plus interest, Ghislaine says, his voice steady. Kane, taken aback, scoffs, 1,000 gold? That shouldn't have cost you more than 100. And you've been doing it because you're my friend. Consider it a friendship fee. Ghislaine's eyes narrow, my ass. I've been your doormat long enough. Pay it back, or I'll beat it out of you. Ricardo, standing nearby, is stunned by the intensity of Ghislaine's words. This isn't the same Ghislaine I've known, he thinks. Enraged, Kane stomps forward, taunting and mocking Ghislaine. Then, without warning, Kane swings a massive fist. Ghislaine leans to the right, easily dodging the blow. Shock ripples through the crowd as Ghislaine effortlessly dodges again, and before Kane can react, Ghislaine counters with a swift punch to Kane's stomach. Blood spews from Kane's mouth as he stumbles backward. Kane, still reeling from the punch, recovers and turns to his guard with a grin. How's my acting? He asks quietly, ensuring that the plan to justify the duel is working. The guard nods in approval. Kane then reaches into his cloak and pulls out a blue glove, preparing to challenge Ghislaine to a duel. I challenge you, he begins, but before he can finish, Ghislaine throws his own glove, hitting Kane square in the face. "I challenge you first," Ghislaine declares, his voice is cold and calculating. "You insulted me, the heir, in front of the people of Perdium. You assaulted my knight and tarnished the dignity of nobility. You're not thinking of denying it, are you?" The crowd, sensing the gravity of the situation, falls silent. Kane, furious, wipes the blood from his lips and grins darkly. "I already knew you were stupid, but I didn't think you were stupid enough to dig your own grave." Drawing his sword, he points it at Ghislaine. "Fine, I accept your duel. Don't regret it, even if you die." Ghislaine, unfazed, turns to Ricardo. "Gather the merchants who are protesting. Tell them I'll make a sum of money for them soon." Ghislaine stands with a confident, unbothered demeanor, adopting a classic Gigachad stance as the crowd erupts in cheers and shouts. It's a duel between young Master Kane and Ghislaine. Bet your money on young Master Kane. That punk is finally gonna get what he deserves. The scene quickly turns into a chaotic marketplace as the merchants, seeing an opportunity, begin selling their goods and setting up betting stations. The merchant leader shouts, Now, place your baits, line up here." Kane stabs his sword into the ground, his eyes narrowing at the sight. "How dare you turn a sacred duel into a marketplace?" he growls. He looks at Ghislaine with disdain and adds, "Let me make this clear before we start. My sword will not stop, even if you surrender." Ghislaine, unfazed, gives him a cold, nonchalant stare. This is part of their plan, he thinks to himself. As he's about to signal the start of the duel, a soldier steps in, halting the proceedings. "I don't think a proper bet can proceed at this rate." The crowd mutters, confused. The merchant leader, seeing the lopsided betting, explains, "Well, no one's betting on young Lord Ghislaine, so ... To be fair, the result seems too obvious. Someone in the crowd calls out, "Ghislaine's going to be defeated for sure." Kane smirks and mocks Ghislaine further. "Yikes, even the marketplace is ignoring you." Just as the terms of the bet seem destined to be rewritten, a beaten-up Scovan steps forward, tossing a large bag of money onto the betting table. The crowd is stunned, but their shock turns into disbelief as Elena, Ghislaine's sister, along with her maid, also place a large bet on him. The atmosphere changes. With the conditions met, the duel begins. Ghislaine calmly unsheathes his sword, swinging it with precise ease, then points it downward in a ready stance. "Come at me," he says, his voice measured and confident. Kane, now fully serious, charges directly at Ghislaine with a massive leap, swinging his sword with brute force. Ghislaine deflects the attack with precision. Kane mocks, "You're still weak," and follows up by knocking Ghislaine's sword aside and attempting to stab him with the handle. Ghislaine dodges, slipping just out of reach. Kane, thinking he's gaining the upper hand, kicks at the ground with force, but again, Ghislaine moves effortlessly, avoiding the blow. "This guy ... huh?" Kane wonders, confused as Ghislaine dodges attack after attack. Meanwhile, the guard responsible for orchestrating the duel grins, watching from the sidelines. The plan is working, he thinks. Kane's usual tactic is to exhaust his opponent by forcing them to dodge continuously until they leave an opening. This has always been his winning strategy. Kane, growing more frustrated, compliments Ghislaine. "You've gotten better, but you can't keep dodging forever." He grabs the blade of his sword and swings it like a battering ram, but Ghislaine sidesteps once again. Kane adjusts his grip and swings once more, this time managing to catch Ghislaine with the handle, sending him flying across the arena. The crowd gasps in shock. "It's over," the guard mutters, believing Kane has won, but mid-air, Ghislaine's eyes flash. Using his mana, he twists his body, landing gracefully on the ground. In an instant, he dashes forward, appearing directly in front of Kane, who is caught off guard. Ghislaine's sword slices across Kane's stomach. The crowd is stunned as both men return to their stances. The final blow comes quickly. Ghislaine, his face emotionless, delivers a decisive strike to Kane's neck. The crowd watches in stunned silence as the damage to Kane becomes visible all at once. Blood trickles from Kane's wounds, his expression filled with disbelief. How could that punk show such a level of swordsmanship, he thinks. Ghislaine, dissatisfied with the result, tosses his sword aside. "I'll be fighting barehanded from now on," he declares, mocking Kane further. The crowd gasps and Kane's face twists in anger. Ghislaine, calm and collected, rolls up his sleeves slightly, preparing for a fistfight. "I'll use this opportunity to educate you today with my bare knuckles."